I'm also going to need a volunteer on one of the slides, so just a heads up, maybe. Okay, so just for the sake of the video, hey everybody, I'm Justin Palmer. I'm an Oculus Launch Pad alumni, which is kind of blows my mind a little bit. I have no clue how I got here, and the imposter syndrome is completely and totally real. Just really quick, I'm going to verify that I actually am recording. I am. Excellent. And I just want to thank you again for coming out. So let's get this started. So what is Oculus Launchpad? I got this question a lot, and I've had a lot of time to refine my answer. So long story short, it's an incubator program. Oculus does an open call for applicants. They select 100 of those applicants. They fly you out to San Jose. You get to go to a 2-day boot camp. It's full of design talks, stuff like that. And then they follow it up with Oculus Connect, which is another 2 days of Oculus showing off their latest and greatest. It's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It exceeded all of my expectations. And I seriously don't know how I was that lucky to go out there. Anyway, they do expect something out of this, though, so they're not just going to haul you out to California for free. Ideally, they would like you to take all of that knowledge that you get from the boot camp and go off and build a vertical slice. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with what that is, it's effectively, imagine like a video game or a project as a cake, and you take a slice of that cake and you serve it. So all of the features for that specific part of the game are done. It's effectively feature complete for all intents and purposes. And you have 3 months to do that. The cool thing is that Oculus will support you through all of this. So in my case, they gave me a Rift S, which again just blew my mind. And they also gave us access to a lot of Oculus engineers. So if we ran into trouble or had questions, we could just reach out to them on Discord, and they were there on almost a one-on-one basis. It was pretty amazing. So at the end of this 3 months, actually 2 weeks ago, they flew everybody back out to California, and we got to have a demo day at Facebook headquarters. So everybody got to show off their projects. We got to play everything. It was a lot of fun. We got to meet back up with everybody. It was kind of bittersweet because I made a lot of cool friends, got to see them again, and it sucks because they're across the country, and it's like, I don't know when I'm going to see you again. Here's our contact info. But it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. And the cherry on top is that there's potential for your project to be fully funded. So there's not a hard number of projects that Oculus will select, but the ones they like the best, they will cherry pick those and throw money at them to be completed, which again blows my mind. So haven't heard about that yet, but they told us that they will let us know what the funding situation is by March 31st. So hopefully we get some good news. If not, I'm not too mad. We'll see. So I just wanted to run over the application that I sent to them. All the questions were essay-based, and quite honestly, looking back at it, well, even as I was writing it, I felt like I didn't really think my answers out completely. So I'll just run through these. So the first question was, what would you like to create, and how does it defy reality? I had no clue how to answer this, and I'm terrible with open-ended questions like this. And unfortunately, I couldn't get access to my application, so I couldn't get what I said word for word. But I effectively said, I want to make cool things. I want to make the user forget that they're wearing a headset. Those are my big 2 goals. Going into 2, describe a past experience and how it shaped you today. So among my many incredibly nerdy hobbies, I also do amateur astronomy, so I've got this gigantic telescope at home. And it was kind of a graduation present to myself. I graduated college, bought the telescope. I was working a part-time job at a grocery store, so it was more money than I probably should have spent. But when I got it home, I put everything together, and the first clear night, I hauled it out in my front yard in Bartlett, and I pointed it at Jupiter. And honestly, that was one of the coolest life experiences. Just the fact that I could see this planet in fairly good detail with a couple of mirrors and a magnifying glass. I thought it was really cool, and the technology for that hasn't really changed. Like, I mean, yeah, there have been advances, and we've thrown telescopes up in space and whatnot, but the fact that you could do that, it was impressive. So I put that down on my, my application as well. Number 3, how comfortable are you working with emerging technology? Again, I don't really remember exactly what I put down, but I work in IT, and I try to make video games on the side, so I said that I was fairly comfortable with it, and I backed it up with those 2 reasons. Number 4, describe your top 3 skills. So just very quickly, I know I said, I'm going to actually reference my notes here real quick. Sorry about that. I think I know what they are. I just don't want to misinform you. Yeah, all right, cool. I was right. So again, I'm an IT guy, so I'm kind of a generalist in that space. I've been using Unity for about 3 or 4 years now. I've kind of lost count. So again, I know enough there to be dangerous. I would describe myself as a generalist there. And my 3rd skill I said was level design. And that one, level design is always kind of I have a love-hate relationship with that because it's so easy to get into, but it's really hard to do things well. Hey, welcome. We have pizza and drinks over there. So anyway, I got started with level design like back when Half-Life 2 and Counter-Strike Source and Gary's Mod all blew up. The modding tools for those games were completely public, so you could just jump in, and the level editor was called Hammer, so you could just jump in, start making levels, and it was awesome. And I've been doing that off and on since high school. I'm not going to put a time frame on that. It's in the double digits. So those are my top 3 skills. There are also 2 optional, not even questions, just fields. One was where you could just link to your portfolio, and I did. And my portfolio isn't good. It's literally a collection of like all of my game jam projects that I've done in the last 3 or 4 years. It's all static HTML. There's no fancy web design there. It's literally just a list of like links and descriptions. Not fancy, but I included it, and I feel that's what gave me the edge. Because quite honestly, I was not happy with my first 4 answers. And also a link to a project video. So again, I tinker in Unity a lot. If memory serves, I was making a clone of Call of Duty Nazi zombies for the Oculus Go, and it was a really simple wave-based shooter with like a bunch of placeholder geometry and models, but it functioned, and I included a video to that. So that was my application, and again, I feel like there wasn't a whole lot to it, but apparently people liked it, and it blew my mind, so let's keep going. So, put the application in. And, before I forget, I have to give a shout out to Catherine Hicks. She's not here tonight, but I wouldn't have known about this whole thing if it weren't for her. In fact, she reminded us to put applications in. So huge shout out to her because I wouldn't even be up here talking if she hadn't told me about this program. So anyway, put the application in. I didn't expect to hear back, and I go about my life. And 2 weeks later, the turnaround time was really short. I remember this day specifically. It was an awful day because I was at work. 2 of my coworkers had just put in their 2 weeks notice, and they were cool people. Like one guy was an actor on the side, and another guy was just really smart, really cool. And they both quit, and I was really sad. I was really bummed out. I go home, and I just like crash on the bed, and I don't move for 30 minutes, and I hear my phone go off, and I look at it, and it's the Oculus Launchpad acceptance email. So I was bouncing off the walls for like 30 minutes, and my girlfriend walks in, and she's like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? And it's like, I'm going to California. This is awesome. So anyway, fast forward. So the 100 of us are selected, and they fly us out to California. The boot camp was surprisingly not technical. I was expecting a lot of like hardcore, like Oculus engineers to go up there and talk about the nitty-gritty. No, it was all design-based, which in retrospect I think was probably for the best. Because there were very technical people there. I walked up to one dude and just started talking to him. And it turns out he was a literal neurosurgeon, and I'm just over here. It's like, I like to make video games. Hi. So yes, no, there were very, very intelligent people there. And again, imposter syndrome for days. The rest of the bullet points on the slide are just some things that really stuck with me from the boot camp. they ran through a couple of ideation exercises. So apparently I wasn't the only one that didn't have a game or project to actually pitch them. So I feel like they probably wouldn't have spent as much time on trying to formulate ideas if people already had ideas. And I have two example slides after this one of mind mapping and forced connections for anybody that doesn't know what those are. I didn't going into it, which is why I included them, and they really stuck with me, and they actually helped me quite a bit. They also included some accessible design flashcards from the Able Gamers charity or foundation. I forget. Are they a charity? Help me. Charity? All right, cool. So they were great. The flashcards are just there to kind of get your mind in a different design space for thinking of other accessibility options. Like the really common ones are color blindness or hearing impairment, and there are obvious answers for those. It's like, all right, well, cool, just include color blindness compatibility and get a good color palette to accommodate for that. Closed captions are always good, or you could just flat out not have verbal communication in your game and do everything through symbolism. That's a good option. But it also really dug into some other problems, like there's some people out there that they can't really deal with sensory overload very well. So it's a really good deck of cards. I meant to bring them with me so people could look through them, and I naturally forgot. My bad. But the website is right there. It's literally just accessible.games. And they're a great reference. And again, they helped me a lot because I tried to take a lot of these design considerations into consideration when I was working on my project, which I'll get into here in a couple slides. They also ran us through kind of like scoping out your project. We grouped up into teams of about 10. We tried to come up with a game idea. We filled out a game design document, and for those of you that aren't familiar with what that is, it explains what the game is. You break it down into like your elevator pitch. You explain the mechanics. You explain the platform it's going to be on, the project timeline, how many people you think you're going to need to actually build this, money, funding, all of those considerations. And if you've never filled one out before, it's a great exercise because it'll just get you thinking about those things that you don't want to think about when you're just starting out to work on a game or a project. And now, oh no, Marcus just stepped out because the interactive segment's happening. All right, I need a volunteer for this buttery. David, come on up. I wish I had the Price is Right music. So this exercise in time, oh, hold up, Marcus, you're back. Do you want to do the interactive segment?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, cool. This is going to be the bee's knees.
Be careful, there are cables here. Perfect.
Okay.
All right, actually, no, I need you up on the whiteboard.
Okay.
So, you see a dry erase marker?
Yeah.
Yeah, grab that. Here, I'll turn this back on for a second. So, I guess right here so Mike can pick me up. So, just really quick, you don't have to be personal if you don't want to, but this is an exercise in time management in case you missed that detail. So, on the whiteboard, give me 3 of your bucket list items that you want to do before you die. Only 3. And again, it can be as personal as you want, as not personal as you want. Okay. I prefer if they're not jokes, but just have at it.
Yeah, I'm going there.
No, you're fine. You're good.
I guess I'm going to put I have a wife.
All right, no, that's good because those are actually really similar to some of the answers that other people put up for this. Okay, so same thing, except now you have terrible news. You've just gotten back from the doctor, and you're going to die in 5 days.
Okay.
3 goals.
Oh, now, dude, how going to get all this?
Well, no. It's
okay.
Some of these you're very obviously not going to be able to do in 5 days.
I guess you're going to be remembered. I don't care about anything else.
That's kind of...
Still going to get married then somehow.
Hey, man, they have drive-through things in Vegas.
Get drive-through reading. Play Neo.
Okay, cool. I'm good with this. So the whole point to this was basically to demonstrate how your goals can shift given time constraints and just if surprises come up and stuff like that. So hopefully you got the same takeaway as I did. I thought it was worth including into this. So thank you. You can sit down now.
Okay.
Appreciate you, Marcus.
Okay.
Okay.
For the listeners.
Oh, yeah, sorry. For those of you that are not here live, so our brave volunteer for his 3 bucket list items to do before he dies is to own a company, run a company, 2, be remembered, and 3, have a wife. Those are pretty noble goals. His revised list, knowing that he had 5 days to live, was to still be remembered. He still wants to have a wife, so we can manage that by going to a drive-through wedding in Vegas, and to play Neo. So those are the revised goals. And at the very end of the boot camp, they did provide us...
I got a download. I bought it this week, so...
Something made with simple pleasures, okay?
Hey man, you got 5 days to live, spend them however you want, it's fine.
No, Neo, the dark soul, the Japanese dark soul.
Ah, got it.
So look.
Okay, stop it.
So look, is it hypothetical that he about to die?
It's hypothetical.
Yes, it is Marcus, you're not actually going to die, I'm not a doctor.
No, I mean because I want my man to be able to play Gear 1 and Gear 2, so can he die?
I'll give you a couple extra days so you can fit those in. Okay, anyway, so at the no, looking out for your friend, I like that. All right. Anyway, so at the end of the boot camp, Oculus also gave us a link to a collaboration that they did with Unity 3D. And it was basically, have you ever done VR before? No? Cool. Here's a complete course on how to dive into it. And it was really awesome because they gave us access to that before they released it to the general public. But since then it's actually come out. So if you want to go check it out, there's the link right there. It's a great course. Parts of it are a little dry, but it covers everything. UI, UX, available play space that the user has available to them, just stuff like that. It's great. Excuse me, sorry. A sip of water. I don't remember if this next slide is going to get weird. It might get weird, fair warning. Oh, no, the ideation exercises. So this is the mind mapping ideation exercise. The idea is let's say the center word is literally just game. Well, it's like, all right, cool, what's associated with the game? Well, the game needs story, it needs characters, it needs setting. And then you expand on those new words. So the characters, it's like, all right, cool, well, we have our main character, our antagonist, all the side characters, and you break those down. And the idea is that you keep breaking everything down, and it's literally just a mind dump. And I'm not going to, as cheesy as it sounds, I felt like it was a great exercise, and it did help me. Because again, I went into this having no project. I just went in blind. And the second one is the forced connections, which I really like. So the idea is you need an adjective and a noun, and just get like a random word generator and just start going at it. Because a couple of these, there's some really interesting ideas here, like electric fist. I'm pretty sure Nintendo did that with Power Glove.
Power Glove was not created by Nintendo.
Well, not the Power Glove, the new game. What's the fist one? Arms, yeah. So you've got electric fist, it's arms. You've got vengeful meadow, and immediately here it's just like, what is this story? Who hurt this meadow?
Solid revengeance.
Minesweeper, dude.
Minesweeper.
Oh, no. I'm bouncing ideas. It's fine. Okay. Then you have prehistoric dentist. Right there, I've got a lot of really cool visuals. Do what?
I've seen that.
You've seen that in Angry City. You've got Streets of Rage. So again, just force connections. You throw words together. You Mad Lib it. You're good to go. And I think this is the weird slide. Yeah, here we go. So I've got a buddy in the game. I've got a friend in the game audio scene, and this is actually a very popular saying within that community. Don't be afraid to kill your babies. And what it means is you could have poured your heart and soul into something, but if it's not working out, you need to cut it, and you don't be afraid to cut it. It's gonna suck, but if it's gonna improve your project, do it. And I completely forgot what my notes were here, so I'm gonna reference those real quick.
You mean like a component of your game or something? Yeah.
Anything. It could be like a character, a feature. if you're running short on time and all of your features aren't implemented, start cutting features. Like, get rid of stuff, trim all of the fat that you can. And yeah, so you got the main point to this slide. Don't become attached to anything, because that's just a trap for failure. And again, a lot of this stuff comes with practice. I know it's just something that doesn't come naturally, but I've been to more game jams than I can count now, and I kind of feel like I've picked up that skill. Also, do a game jam if you've never done a game jam or a hackathon, anything. They're great exercises in time management and scoping, because at the very beginning you have this great idea, and when it's Sunday morning and your project is still in shambles, it's a great opportunity to start cutting stuff. But I also wanted to include this because after the boot camp, I got back. I still had no ideas. And it's like, it's fine, something will come to me. And I didn't actually settle on my game project, which I'll get to in a minute, until I was about 2 or 3 weeks back from boot camp. And I killed about 4 other ideas. I got really excited for them. I started filling out a game design document for them, and I sat down and I started to prototype them in Unity. And a couple days into it, it's like, I'm not feeling this. There's way too much here. I've got to do something about that. And eventually I just decided to completely switch projects. Oh, perfect. So I do have the 4. I kept track of the ideas that I killed, too. That was another thing I tried to do with this whole experience. I tried to document everything. So going into Launchpad, coming home from the boot camp, I had this idea to do an adaptation of an older sci-fi story, The Cold Equations. It's like a 20-minute read if no one's familiar with it. I'm pretty sure it's in public domain, so it's a great read if you've never read it. It's gut-wrenching, though. It's depressing and sad. And that's actually why I decided not to do it, because it's like, nobody wants to do this. And I'm going to avoid spoilers in case people haven't read it, so I won't go into why that's sad. So, I slept on it. I decided, fine, whatever. I'll come up with another idea. And I did, and I still kind of want to do this, but not for Launchpad. So my idea was to do a VR-based rhythm game, because those are super popular nowadays. And the idea was, it's a dungeon crawler. It's pulling heavily from fantasy, and instead of the rave or techno or whatever music the kids are into these days, and Beat Saber and neon colors, it'd be like a really grimy, dirty place, and you've got this metal track in the background, and you have to fight these enemies in a rhythmic way. And I still really like the idea, and my brother is actually in a metal band, and it's like, this is all coming together. But I killed that one because I was terrified. Again, I just thought that the scope was too big for the vertical slice. But I'm totally going to revisit that at some point because I think it would just be great. There was a past project that I worked on called Kung Fu Shadow Fist, and it's like, this will be great. We can take it off ice and we can work on it. And again, there were a lot of complexities with that project that you just couldn't do in 3 months. The game featured a lot of physics-based combat, complex characters. Great idea, great game. It's just, I've got 3 months. No, let's not do this. And then Path of the Warrior came out, and it was basically our project, and I got really sad. And then my 4th idea was this horror game that I've had in the back of my head for years, and it's based on some urban legend up in St. Louis. I won't really get into it, but there wasn't a game there. There was a story, there was all of it, and it was just, I had no mechanics, I had nothing. So again, I scrapped it and decided, all right, cool, I'll sleep on it. And actually, really quick, I got some really great advice from a game designer here in town who said, don't focus on story when you're just starting out. Focus on the mechanics, build on the mechanics. In fact, do the story almost last. Because you could write in all of the details, you can write in all of the excuses. Focus on gameplay first. So anyway, back to my project that I finally decided to work on Mend. So what it is a co-op asymmetrical platforming game. In English, you have two players, they're working together, they're jumping around. You've got the one player in VR. They help the small player on the 2D monitor traverse the world and get from point A to point B, pretty much. So this screenshot shows a couple of character designs that my 2D artist did. The screenshot on the left is what that actually looks like in Engine. And thankfully, I know enough about 3D modeling that I was able to do those characters myself before I got a 3D modeler on board. I want to go back and redo them because I know that there's a lot wrong with them behind the scenes, but for the sake of a vertical slice, I feel like it works.
Do you have any of the GIFs that we collected and the models horribly distorting when we apply animations?
Oh, good. No, I don't. I should have included those. Yeah, so 3D modeling and rigging and animating is a wonderful world full of nightmares and just contorted figures. That's another talk.
Just watch the movie Akira. That's about how it looks.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I'll shut up and actually let you guys watch a really quick gameplay trailer.
Done a volume check first.
Oh crap, no I didn't. Yeah, so that's Mend. I mean, you already know the time frame. It took me about 3 months to work on, and it wasn't just me. The team eventually ended up being 5 people. Shaq over there was one of them. He did all the programming stuff that was all over my head, or way over my head. So thank you. You're awesome. Again, I had my 2D artist who did a lot of the texture work. Character designs, things of that nature. Eventually I got a 3D artist who modeled out the talons and rigged those and painted them, and they're awesome. And there was me. I was kind of the jack of all trades and the wearer of many hats. I need to check my notes because there's something I wanted to talk about. And, oh no, what have I done? Oh, buddy. Oops. 1 second. So anyway, I don't remember exactly what my notes were going to be like said, but it was basically play to your strengths. Do I get that into the? Oop. Sorry, everybody. Do I get into that? Ah, yeah, never mind. All right. I knew it was coming up soon. I'll touch on that point later. So let's just pick up where we left off. Sorry about that. Like I said, I haven't had time to practice this, so I'm only slightly scatterbrained. So yeah, that's what I ended up with. And again, earlier I said that I try to document everything, and that's literally everything. Like if I have an idea, I write it down. If I prototype something, I try and get a recording of it. Just all of that stuff. So I was going to run through all of these really quick. Oh no. Open the link. So I made some nunchucks because I had a really good idea for Kung Fu Shadow Fist when I was still trying to revive that. And I won't make you watch the whole thing. I'll just try and get to the good bits. Yeah, so I mean, it's for a prototype, it works. It was going to need a lot of refinement, and oh, I remember, because I was trying to throw this weird, like, rock, paper, scissors mechanic into Kung Fu Shadow Fist, and it's like, well, some dudes are weak to thrown items, and other dudes are weak to swords, and other dudes are weak to fists, and blah, blah, blah. And right there is just a scope creep nightmare. And eventually, just one day, I sat back. It's like, no, I don't have enough time. Also, here's like the first proof of concept that I have from Mend. So a little bit of context going into this one, if it's the video I think it is. Back in July of last year, there's a level design community that I kind of troll a little bit, and they have these monthly challenges. And the one for July was to recreate a level, and there were 3 choices. You could do a level from Counter-Strike, a level from Quake, they like their first-person shooters, or you could do level 1-1 from Super Mario Brothers. So I remade that. So I just come off of rebuilding that, and I come home from the boot camp, and I literally just like shove in all of the Oculus functionality and throw the headset in there and then a couple of blocks that you can pick up. And this is like the super early progenitor, if you will, of what would eventually become Mend. And you can see here that I had this idea where you could like do this motion and you would get bigger, and do the opposite motion and you would shrink. And I never went anywhere with that, but you know, it might be good to revisit later. So yeah, this is like the first eureka moment that I had. It's like, holy crap, this is gonna work. Let's do it, guys. And eventually, there was a little bit of panic there because it's like, this is my 5th idea. It's got to stick. Let's go. And then this is a couple weeks after that. I think probably about a month in. What's the timestamp on this? Oh God, no, it's only a couple weeks. Well, if this doesn't load, it's basically just a bunch of gray box geometry and placeholder assets. Yeah, here we go. So no more Mario. Cut all that out. And here you can kind of see, you know, there's a lot of similarity here. So again, this really goes back to worry about your game mechanics first, do the story second. Because there's a whole story to Mend. It may or may not still be, you know, a work in progress, but it is there, and the core ideas are there. So again, this is just a really quick prototype in Unity. Yeah, here we go.
Who was that guy who did Stephen Molyneux? The guy who did Black and White, right?
Peter Molyneux?
Yeah, Peter Molyneux.
Yeah.
I feel like he made that game that he wanted to create.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. So again, this is all right. This is the very end. I've got. And then I think I've got this last one where you can kind of see things are starting to like actually come together, more art's getting thrown into the level. Again, I won't make you watch this whole thing because it's nearly 5 minutes long. Oh yeah, there's some Mario music. Yeah, so there's more art. If you notice, the lighting has all been removed, and I did that for a couple of reasons. For VR, you want your game to be as performant as possible. Real-time lighting is a big no-no. So you do this process called light baking, where you pre-compute all of the lighting. It's really performant, but it's also a nightmare for designers because you make a change, bake your lighting. You make a change, bake your lighting. Probably not the best way to go about that. It's probably make a bunch of changes, then bake your lighting. But I'm really whatever. So I decided I'll just have no lighting, and I went for the cel-shaded kind of look for the game. And it really saved me a lot of time because it's just one more thing I didn't have to worry about. And again, that goes back to don't be afraid to cut features. At the time, it's like, is this dumb? Should I take all the lights out? This feels really wrong. This feels counterintuitive. But it worked out okay, and I got a lot of compliments for the overall look of the game when I demoed it at Facebook. At the end of the day, I think it was the right decision. But again, you can see here that, again, all the mechanics haven't really changed. They're just, a little more refined, hopefully. And story elements are starting to show up. So you've got, setting. You have these characters. It's like they're masked. Why they're wearing masks? Well, it's because they're these really badass adventure twins from a long-lost civilization, and they're basically Mandalorians, and they never take their masks off. That's the story reason. The real reason is I really didn't want to animate faces or rig them. It's great.
So
That's why you can write stuff out with story.
Okay, but how do you express them as warriors?
So they're not warriors, they're adventurers. And that's actually one of the pillars that I'm trying to incorporate into the game is I want it to be nonviolent. So I'm taking a lot of influences from a lot of stuff. 90s platformers like Mario Odyssey is good, not a 90s platformer. Banjo-Kazooie is what I'm going for. I want it to be a collectathon. I love those games growing up, so I just want to make one like that. But also, I just want to take the violent components out, which for me is kind of weird because the games that I go for are like your Half-Lifes and your Dooms and stuff like that. I don't know, just trying to get back to my roots, I guess. I think that's where I wanted to go with that. So let's actually dig into the actual post-mortem part of this post-mortem talk. So what went well? All things considered, we finished. There weren't too many features that we had to cut. There were a lot of technical challenges that track, again, thank you, because we ended up spending, I think, a month fighting with the audio integration. Really, you did? Thank you.
The way I prefer to work in a team is that I told Justin, don't worry about if it can be done. You just tell me what you want to have and let me figure that out. It only backfired on the audio thing, but I got that to work.
Yeah, no, and it's great. So I'll elaborate on this for a minute. The tool that I was using for audio is Fmod, and if you don't need to make any changes to it, it's a great tool for designers. But if you have to change it, God help you. So the thing with my game is it's a local 2-player co-op game. I didn't really consider this going into it, and this is one thing that caught me off guard completely, was that, I might need separate audio streams. I mean, the players are potentially going to be in 2 different parts of the world doing completely separate things. You need contextual audio for that. And it's it'll be fine. Unity has multiple listeners for multiple characters. What I didn't consider is that to take those audio streams and to pump them out to 2 separate audio devices at the same time from the same computer is apparently witchcraft. Luckily, I know a sorcerer. So at the end of the day, it worked out. Honestly, I think that was the one thing that really caught us off guard project-wise. But again, just I can't stress enough that.
Something to point out too is that we had seen other VR apps do this.
Yes.
They had dual outputs that were distinct because you can have dual output out of the box in Unity, but it's the same. It's one output stream. Unity was 2 different outputs. We'd seen other teams do it. There's no documentation on how to do it. We found one forum posting on the Fmod's developer forums, and we emailed this other game that had a similar thing, and they said, point us right back to that forum posting, which ended up being rolled back to an older version.
Yep.
And just restructure the entire project just to get this one extra feature.
And
Done.
honestly, it was worth it for me at least.
The moment when we got it to work, when it was I said to Justin, please try this out. Tell me it works on your machine. Tell me I'm not having a stroke. It's because I'm hearing sound in multiple places, and I might just be crazy.
Yeah. No. Just honestly, for me, that was the hill I was willing to die on for this project. It's no, we need this.
Just email me. I will give you the code to save yourself a month.
Yeah, but that was the one weird thing we did. Anyway, sorry.
A lot of weird things. That was the most bullshit thing we did.
I mean, you're not wrong. So honestly, another thing that went well was time management. I got really lucky with the people that I brought onto my team. They were very respectful of my deadlines. Everything was awesome. Everything just kind of fell together, and we had to deal with working. We didn't. Well, I mean, I hope nobody really worked over the holidays. I know there was a stretch of time in there that I didn't even touch this game for like 2 weeks. Just because, again, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, all of that was like right in the middle of everything. So yeah, overall time management went really well in my opinion. The demo at Facebook was nightmare fuel. We got to go up on stage and present, and it was completely optional. And when I got the email for that, it's like, we're taking signups for the presentations. Like, hell yeah, I'll do this, no problem. And I got there, and I spent 75% of that day just nervous. I didn't feel good, and I presented up there, and it was just the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done. Mainly because I was in the lion's den. Like, there are literally Facebook and Oculus employees right here. You cannot bullshit them. They made the stuff that you were working with. And then there are also 99 other professionals in there, and it's just, oof. I'm glad that I did that, though. That was a really big learning experience, and honestly, all the talks I'm going to give after that are going to be super easy. I hope. Another thing that went well was team composition, and I'm going to go somewhere with this. So initially it was just me, and so this list is not in the order that people came on. So it was me. I reached out to, oh man, I didn't, no, this list is wrong. All right, whatever, I'll skip that part. So there was me, I was the lead, I was kind of the wear of the hats, I was primarily the designer. Just starting out, I was doing a lot of the stuff, I was programming a lot of things, modeling a lot of stuff. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But eventually I brought on a 2D artist, a 3D artist, the composer. That's like the one skill I don't have. I cannot write music. And Shaq, my engineer. And sorcerer, yes. And the point that I wanted to make with this slide is, really quick, going out to left field here, is anyone familiar with Clifton's Strengths Finder? Okay, I don't think so. All right, so basically what that is a personality assessment. It's been used a lot in professional workplaces. I've actually taken it at my workplace. And they try and determine like what your innate skills are, like your natural abilities. And they give you really counterintuitive advice at the very beginning of it. And it's like, they basically tell you, everyone says that you should improve your weaknesses. And we're going to say that that's a waste of time. Sometimes people are just naturally bad at something. And yes, you can take time, you can improve these skills, but it's like the amount of time and effort that you put into this, you might get to a certain level, but meanwhile, Prodigy over here is light years beyond you. If it's something that you want to do, that's perfectly fine. Just take that into consideration. So I tried to take that advice. Honestly, I try to take that advice to heart anytime I work on something now because I think it's really good. And the point that I wanted to make with Team Comp is I can do most of this stuff, but like for programming, Shaq can do it way faster and better. Like for the 2D art, yeah, I've got some artistic talent, but Elliot, my 2D artist, again, like I asked him for something and later that day he came back with like a whole bunch of different designs and stuff, and just he managed to do it much faster than I ever could. So building a team, in my opinion, is about supplementing your weaknesses and honestly, at the very start, knowing what your weaknesses are. That's probably your biggest hurdle. If you know what your weaknesses are, you're golden. Find people that can do that stuff for you. And again, I guess that I feel when I say that out loud that it sounds really obvious, but I felt like it was worth including. And at the end, again, we were able to adapt and pivot. Again, that just goes back to like cutting features and stuff. Do we have time? No. All right. Is it worth it? Probably not. Let's get rid of it. I forgot the big thing that we had to pivot. So if you noticed in those gameplay videos, like the early ones, the level was really big and kind of expansive, and I wanted it to be a sandbox. At the beginning of December, I got this email from Oculus and like, oh, by the way, your vertical slice can only be 5 minutes long, and I'm just sitting there like, what? Because the level at that time, like my girlfriend and I would play test it, and we would speed run through this thing, and we were barely making that 5-minute time limit. So I knew that 2 people going into this who had never seen the game before, they were not going to finish the game in 5 minutes. They weren't going to see everything that we had worked on. So I had to tear that whole level out, excuse me, sorry. Build a new level, and it kind of goes into what didn't go so well. So the finished level is pretty basic. It's very, hey, there's a carrot over here. I bet if you put something here that you can get to it. But for the sake of the demo, I feel like it got the idea and the core gameplay across very quickly. So this is all right. Not what I wanted, but now that everything is over, I can go back and work on things and make them the way that I want to. What went wrong? Everybody on the team was working for exposure, and I absolutely hate that. I'm broke as hell. Luckily, I managed to find 4 other people that are like, yeah, I'll make a video game, let's do it. So I'm thankful for that, but I don't consider that a strong point. What went wrong? A simple feature was days of coding. I'm looking at UFMod. Again, it was just that much of pain. Again, I threw out a lot of old level geometry, and for some reason, I didn't save it. So that's my bad. And again, we rebuilt the entire demo to accommodate that 5-minute time limit, which, if there was one curveball that I could pick from this whole thing, that would definitely be it. Because I went into this, it's like, oh, this is going to be great. I'll make the first level of the game. No. That might be all I have? Oh, no, here we go. Well, I knew I was getting close to the end. So anyway, what I want you to walk away from this talk with, number 1, keep some kind of portfolio. Again, I think that's the only reason I managed to get into this. It doesn't have to be fancy. Again, mine is literally just images, static HTML and CSS. There's Bootstrap, so it's mobile responsive, but you can learn that in like 30 minutes. And it's not fancy. It's literally images, links, descriptions. That's it. The bonus is that it's really easy to update because I could just throw new stuff in there, no problem. It's hosted on like an S3 bucket somewhere on AWS. You can do that for free. Like, it literally cost me $1 to host this website. It's great. $1 per month. Sorry. If you don't have an idea, apply anyway. Launchpad is awesome. It was great. I want to do it again. I don't know if I can. If you're lacking expertise, I don't care. Apply anyway. There are a lot of people there that didn't really have a lot of technical ability, but it goes back to just find people that can help supplement your weaknesses. Number 4, ideas are cheap and have likely been thought of before. Don't let that discourage you. And the reason I include that is because my game, nobody's going to believe me, but I'm going to say it anyway. I started working on it before I found this game called Carly and the Reaper Man, which is literally the same game and mechanic. I got really sad when I found that out, but I decided, look, this is the 5th idea. I'm just going to run with it. Going to build this to the best of my ability. If Oculus likes it, cool. If they don't, whatever. Portfolio stuff. So, yeah. Originality is really hard. Don't get discouraged by that. Just find something you want to make and make it. Lean into your strengths. Again, just kind of do a little bit of self-reflection, really think about what you're good at, and again, just find people that can help you where you're not good at stuff. I basically covered number 6. Number 7, know enough about everything to be dangerous. This is the part where I tell you go to game jams and hackathons because they're awesome. They're great exercise in time management, learning your abilities, learning new skills, just tinker in your free time. It really helps to know a little bit about Blender, like 3D modeling, Unity itself. And I know that initially this all sounds like, well, you just know everything. And yeah, I guess this is bad advice, but I feel like it doesn't help you to just be like, I hate to use this phrase, but to just be the ideas guy. I feel like you have to have some kind of ability to back what you're doing up. So know enough about everything to be dangerous. It'll take time to learn it, but just go and learn it. And 8, supposedly Oculus Launchpad 2020 info starts dropping around April. You can keep an eye on the Oculus blog. We were told April. That date might change. I'm not going to lie. Oculus kind of changed a lot of dates on us during the program, so just keep an eye out. Spring, summer, more info should be coming out. It's a great program. Apply to it. It was awesome. I had a ton of fun. It was a great experience. I want to do it again. And with that, now I think I'm done. Obligatory cat tax. Thank you. And again, I didn't time that. I don't know what time it is. 7. Okay, so that took roughly an hour. All right, that's not bad. So thanks again for everybody coming out. And I actually have a headset and Devitt has a VR-capable laptop if anyone wants to demo the game real quick. If not, oh, cool. Neat.
Also,